Munson. I'm a Cloud Solutions Architect at Red Hat. I'm going to just give a little presentation on Red Hat CloudForms. If you guys aren't familiar with CloudForms, it's a cloud management platform based on an open source project that Red Hat founded called ManageIQ. Go ahead and get started. So basically, I'm just going to give a little overview of the company.
Well, that's never good.
I think they made LibreOffice to test my patience with open source. Let me just export this to you. Anyway, while I'm waiting for this to export, is everyone familiar with what a cloud management platform is, or what it's supposed to be? Like, basically, the ability to manage Amazon, OpenStack, vCenter, and like a Red Hat Enterprise virtualization from another product, from one pane of glass, and then the ability to orchestrate between those platforms. So, Red Hat is originally everyone thought of Red Hat, still thinks of Red Hat really as the Linux company. We're much more than that now. In order for us to continue to grow, we're a $1.7 billion company now. In order for us to continue to grow, we can't just rely on Linux. So back in 2006, we acquired JBoss, so it gives us our middleware platform. And then we acquired ManageIQ, which gives us our cloud management platform. And of course, we introduced our OpenStack distribution a couple of years ago. And then, of course, we acquired Ceph and Lustre. So we cover a wide range of technology areas. And where does all this come from? All comes from the community. The millions of open source projects out there. We have our own projects that consume those: KVM, Lustre, Foreman, RDO, Fedora, probably the most famous one, and then what I'm talking about, ManageIQ, which is one of the platforms. So what is hybrid cloud? So as customers are moving towards hybrid cloud, they already have their existing virtualization platform. Generally, it's VMware. As they grow their infrastructure, they need some sort of systems management. So software management, configuration management, like Puppet, Salt, Ansible. Then they have grown their existing virtualization platform. Maybe they have multiple vCenters, so they need to be able to orchestrate between those different vCenters. So they put on top of it a cloud management platform. to provide the self-service, the auditing, chargeback, and enforce policies. And then usually I have customers that are bringing in an alternative virtualization platform. At this point, that's Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization and Hyper-V. And then I'm starting to have customers that are now starting to develop cloud applications. So resilient to failure, multiple nodes, multiple application nodes are resilient. They can withstand a failure if one goes down. Usually it just spins up. And then finally, a customer is bringing in a public cloud. Generally, that's Amazon on top, and that's being managed by the cloud management platform. So that's a hybrid cloud. Everything here managed by a single management solution. So when I go into customers with whiteboard, what's important to them with the cloud management platform? One, they want self-service. Want end users to be able to deploy their own workloads without having to have an administrator stand up their virtual machine. Cloud workload management, so the ability to orchestrate between VMware and Amazon. They want to be able to show back what they're consuming. If a development group is consuming more resources than they probably should, they can show, look, this is how much you're actually charging IT. You're actually costing IT, and usually it show that is prelude to a chargeback model, but I'm not really going to get into that. Capacity and management planning. So one thing that CloudForms can do is take a look at your entire physical infrastructure from VMware Rev and OpenStack and say, where's the best placement for new workloads? And when am I going to run out of capacity? When am I going to run out of CPU and memory capacity? And then the ability to deploy applications. So when I deploy a virtual machine from the self-service portal, based on that, what I deployed, based on the input that the end user put into the self-service catalog, deploy that application, orchestrate with Puppet, Chef, whatever you're using in the back to deploy that application. And then I have to be able to leverage my existing infrastructure. That's what all my customers say. I don't want to do a greenfield environment. I want to just put this on top of what I already have today. And that's the definition of what a cloud management platform is. That's from Gartner, that's from IDC. That's what they've defined it as. That's what your CIOs are going to go, oh, I heard about cloud management. We need to do this. That's what they're going to be saying the requirements are. And CloudForms provides all of that. So Red Hat CloudForms, this is everything that comes in, part of the product, and also part of ManageIQ. So everything that's in ManageIQ is also in CloudForms. So we have an approval workflow engine inside of it, compliance engine, self-service portal, very limited self-service portal, but it's by limited, it's not pretty, but it does the job. It has an order button. That's all as an administrator, that's all I really care about. Chargeback. So we have a whole chargeback engine. So you can put in how much it costs for CPU, how much it costs for you, the administrator, to run that system as a fixed cost, or you can do a consumption cost. So they've used this much CPU this month. It costs $700, whatever. Quota enforcement, so we can enforce quota by group or by user. And then below, the infrastructure management. So we're managing resources underneath. So we're managing VMware resources, your OpenStack resources, do capacity planning across those. resources. Integrate with config management. We also have some limited ability to look at your current configuration. It's a read-only situation, so for example, I can look inside the virtual machine and see if this config file, say Etsy, just say it's Etsy hosts, and it is outside of the default, whatever it's supposed to be. I can see that, and I can also see when it's been changed. So that's kind of cool. So the components of this, so that's the way I just described, getting your config files, that's under Insight. So I have the insight into my infrastructure, the insight into my virtual machines, insight into my overall health of my virtual infrastructure. Control, so that's the policy enforcement. A virtual machine, so example is, one of my favorite examples is a virtual machine's been deployed in DMZ. So that virtual machine can never have more than one NIC. If it has more than one NIC, prevent it from being powered on. If someone tries to add it inside of vCenter, stop the vCenter action. So that's another good example is all these vulnerabilities that are coming up in like Bash, OpenSSL. If a specific version of Bash is not installed on your Linux system, tell your systems management platform, one that actually does the patches, to apply the patch. Whatever, or shut it off, whatever you want to do with it. And then automation. So this is the bread and butter of CloudForms. Really these two are the same, automation and integration. I need to be able to manage the life cycle of a virtual machine. I need to be, or a cloud instance, and everything about that instance. So for example, when I deploy a virtual machine, I need several things. I need an IP address, I need a DNS entry. Usually in the enterprise, this is going to be info blocks. So I need to integrate with info blocks. I need to go get the IP address for the VLAN that my virtual machine is on, and get that IP address from info blocks and register that it's been used. I also need to make the DNS entry inside of info blocks. That's another way of just telling it that it's been used. Or take it a step further to Amazon. I need an Amazon instance, but I also need EBS volumes attached to it. Probably 3 or 4, whatever. But I also want to be able to manage the whole, all of that goes with that Amazon instance. So when I go and retire it, I delete the instance and I delete the EBS volumes. So I don't get charged for that space that I'm using. So I don't get charged for anything else. And when I going back to like the standard infrastructure example, I go back and I remove the DNS entry from info blocks, and I go remove go free up the IP address as well. So it's not just, and the best part about that, whether if I'm going from the standard infrastructure, I write that integration once with info blocks, because when I discover inside of CloudForms, I've normalized all the data across VMware or Red. I don't care where this is going. So that's really cool. So I can just write my info blocks integration once. I go get the IP address, I apply it to the VM in Red. I apply it to the VM in VMware. I don't care where it lives. It's a true hybrid platform. So, and then I need to be able to control all this. I need to be able to control my users. Can they have access to this VLAN? So we have a full RBAC control system integration with Active Directory. We're at identity management. We even have integration with Amazon's identity management, if you prefer. I have customers that have absolutely zero infrastructure. Everything's in Amazon. They use this and they integrate with Amazon's identity management. So cloud intelligence. So that's analytics, the relationships. It's another important part about this. I know where this virtual machine came from. When I deploy when an end user deploys a virtual machine from their end user portal, I know exactly which template it came from. And I can compare differences between the template and the running virtual machine. So if an end user says, hey, my VM's broken, and I can go compare the state of their virtual machine to the template, because I know the template's working. Say it's a Java developer. Oh, this is why you upgraded ICE-T. So it needs to be at this version. That's why your application isn't working. We've only certified this. So that's another. Already beat the automation engine. So CloudForms has a RESTful API that you can write code against. So if you wanted to write your own self-service portal, you could. It's written in Ruby. The product's written in Ruby. Almost all the automation inside there is written in Ruby. But you can use Python, PowerShell because the realities of IT, Windows exists. And to run PowerShell, you obviously can't run it on CloudForms because it runs on RHEL or CentOS if it's ManageIQ. But as long as you have access to a Windows machine running WinRM, you can execute PowerShell. So the example I give there is, again, the realities of enterprise IT. I have Active Directory. I need to be able to register a virtual machine, a brand new Windows virtual machine to Active Directory. So I need to be able to execute that PowerShell code in order to register that new virtual machine to Active Directory. And then down here, this is everything that we've integrated with. Almost all of this is out of the box in the product. Open source doesn't have any of the integrations. But there's a bunch, give you a hint, there's tons of stuff on GitHub if you want to go play with this. So for example, like with the Infoblox integration, that's all up on GitHub. I wrote an integration with F5 a couple of years ago. So I can manage my load balancing pools with all the virtual machines that were underneath that. So I could add so I could literally do scaling inside of VMware, something that it wasn't really designed to do. It was designed to be a scale-up architecture, not a scale-out. I was going to talk a little bit about ManageIQ. So ManageIQ is based on this open source project. ManageIQ was originally the name of the company that we acquired, that we rebranded the product as CloudForms. The open source project, ManageIQ.org, really easy to contribute to. We have a ManageIQ depot, which is similar to like a Puppet Forge or something like that. We don't have a lot right now. We just barely opened it up a couple of months ago, so there's not a lot there. We're also redoing it because it's all dependent on you putting all your coding in GitHub and getting it approved. We want everyone to be able to contribute to it without an issue. I think it's a fun project to work on. I've been working on it now for 2 years. It's a lot of fun. But I actually do have a demo, if you guys want to see it.
Yeah,
Great. Hopefully Firefox won't crash with me.
looks like it did.
Probably did at one point. So the product right now, the product is version 3.1.3. I was hoping 3.2 would be out, and I was going to do some really cool stuff with OpenStack, but I don't have access to the beta bits. But I'm just going to show, actually, I'm going to use this different appliance. So I'm going to use the InfoBlocks integration as my example today. So I actually just finished this for a customer. They had a specific use case. They needed to be able to add a second NIC to a virtual machine on provision and attach it to a specific network based on the network that it was provisioned on. They always have a front end and a back end network. I don't know why. I'm like, okay. In all their environments, I thought that was weird. So if I go. So right now in 3.1, this is all based on Flash. We're moving to HTML5 in the next release. I think it's next release, but it's already on HTML5 upstream. So get rid of the Flash dependency. So I'm going to quickly describe what you're seeing here. So these are all the virtual machines that I've discovered in this environment. All of them are running VMware, and all of them are running Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So the A stands for archived. So whenever I go and retire or delete a virtual machine, so if I went and deleted a virtual machine in vCenter, we keep a record of it. And that's what the archive is. So I know what the VM was, what it was called. So if an end user says, hey, my virtual machine's gone, we could go, at some point it was deleted. They went and deleted it in vCenter. But if it went through the whole retirement process, I could see the date it was retired on, and we could go, you didn't go and increase the time frame that you wanted this virtual machine. And then template for T, there's one on there that's not there, that's not showing up. It's called orphaned. Basically, an orphaned virtual machine is a virtual machine that's not managed by vCenter or ESX. It's just residing on storage. I actually have a customer that when we saw like 5,000 orphan VMs. They had no idea that they were there. I'm like, how do you not notice 5,000 virtual machines? Anyway. It might have been 500, I might be exaggerating. But anyway, still a lot. So I'm going to deploy. I think it's. I'll do this.
So is this gear that you guys are hosting at Red Hat someplace?
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is at Red Hat.
Okay, this is all Red then.
Right now, it's actually I'm running the CloudForms on top of Rev, but in this particular instance, I'm only managing VMware.
Oh.
But I do have another one that is managing Rev and OpenStack and Amazon.
Oh, cool.
So when you provision virtual machines, like if you're integrated with OpenStack, is it just getting an image from Glance, or is
it's just getting an image from Glance. And it's same with Rev. So Rev uses Glance as well. So I'm just going to get the image from Glance and deploy it. Yeah. In this case with VMware, it's just going to deploy a template on storage.
Yep.
So I guess I thought the CloudForms and OpenStack were competitors.
No.
You're saying that you're,
Very complementary. Very complementary to each other. They're not, we have our own OpenStack distribution that we're selling a lot of. And we sell a whole product called Red Hat Cloud Infrastructure. And that's a Rev, OpenStack, and CloudForms. The whole idea of it is that you deploy what you want of Rev, what you want of OpenStack, and have CloudForms manage it for you.
so, I apologize for interrupting,
No,
but
you're fine.
what, not kind of being as deep in this as maybe I once was, what is it that OpenStack provides, and then what is it that CloudForms is providing?
So OpenStack provides your infrastructure and the framework for your infrastructure. So that's what OpenStack really is, right? It's a framework for infrastructure, and it's a common set of APIs. That's what
Okay.
OpenStack is. It's
Okay.
not, it is, despite what our competitors are saying that compete against OpenStack, except for other companies like Mirantis, they're going and saying, no, it's not an orchestration platform. OpenStack is an infrastructure platform with a common set of APIs that you can code against,
Okay.
write orchestrations for. So it's that's what OpenStack is, infrastructure.
So it does not have a UI like what you guys have put in the cloud?
So it does have like a self-service portal,
Uh-huh.
and all the administration is done by command line. And until now, I think TripleO Tusker offers an administrative view. I haven't seen that bit yet. My specialty is CloudForms and OpenShift.
Okay.
But you have a UI for Tusker, and that just does all the administration inside of OpenStack.
Okay.
So that you're managing KVM hypervisors, or if you want to spend a ton of money and have vCenter inside your OpenStack, you can manage the vCenter hypervisors under that as well.
Okay. All right, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And so purpose here, so one of the things I hadn't really talked about was tagging. Tagging is very important inside platforms. It helps us drive decisions, like based on network location, like if I want to deploy inside the DMZ cluster, ensure that only has the VM being deployed only has one NIC, that gets this puppet configuration, whatever. Tagging is very important inside CloudForms. We use it all throughout automation. We also use it to, so like one of the things you can do is there's a tag in here called provisioning scope. And provisioning scope, what it allows me to do is I can tag my infrastructure. Say, I only want this group of users to be able to deploy inside of either this OpenStack tenant or host A, B, and C in VMware or Rev. They can only deploy to that, and they can only deploy to this storage. Another way you can use provisioning scope is using like the service level methodology. It's this VM is a platinum service level, so it has to run on solid state disk, and it has to have at least 4 virtual CPUs and 8 gigabytes of UA. So we can use those decisions. We can use that to drive decisions inside of Automate. I've already picked a virtual machine, but I do need to name it. And I have code underneath that looks for change me, and it's going to automatically name the virtual machine based on
That keyword.
based on that word, and it's going to also name the VM based on the tags. So if I don't provide any tags, so like what it's looking for is it's looking for the environment tag. So it's going to name the virtual machine CFME and then 001. But if it gets a tag, it's going to put CFME dev test prod, whatever. And we can rewrite. You can rewrite the logic to whatever you want it to be. That's of course. And then environment. I'm actually going to explicitly tell it where to put this virtual machine. But I I could say choose automatically, and based on what CloudForms knows about, it's going to put it in the best place for inside this infrastructure. And customize. So in VMware, we rely heavily on the customization specification to put in, to inject the IP address. This one will take. Actually, this is a good, so this is just a self-service catalog, it's a little different now. So I restricted it down, what can they see? Like one of the things that we've done is we've added, you can do like so this flex monitor, this is gonna automatically scale the infrastructure based on based on what I select here. So if it's gonna, whether it's gonna monitor this deployment or not. Now it's going to go through the automation workflow to go check out my IP address. Mm-hmm. We'll go check it out in just a second, make sure that I have a colleague that likes to rip this latter part on me, even though I tell him not to do it. But anyway, he probably took it out of the state machine. But anyway, so basically like this. When I go through, when it goes through and steps through what it's called a state machine. And the state machine keeps a state in memory, and so like if I need to take action on like that IP address, or if I need to take action on the tags that are inside of it, I can then apply another script against the server and the virtual machine I'm deploying, and then. Apply, so they, like if post deployment, I want to just run a script to make an entry in the CMDB that this is done, that this virtual machine is deployed, just based on its tag, so I know where to put it, where to place it, whatever. Or I can do something as simple as kicking off a method that kicks off like a text message to my phone. That's another.
So a state machine in this case is basically what, like a flowchart stuff, state machine?
Yeah, it kind of. We don't. It's not really. We don't do it in a flowchart.
It's a series of steps, though.
It's just a series of steps, and it knows whether if it's failed, and like if any part of the state fails, we can tell it to abort or to keep going, and if it aborts, clean everything up I just did. That's another cool thing about it. So I can then clean everything up. I think that's
So with the self-service portal, can you deploy like a suite of apps? Like if I have, like, 4 or 5 web servers, database cluster, et cetera, is it instead of just like one or two?
One of the things that we've done to really demonstrate that is we created so you can kick off the entire OpenShift installer inside of CloudForms. Actually have that in this environment. Hopefully. No, I know. No, I know, because that's why he's breaking it apart. So basically, in OpenShift, I need to know the domain name that all my nodes are going to be on. I need to know the domain that my applications are going to be deployed on. And then I need to know what the SSH user ID is for all those hosts that I'm going to be deploying, so I can actually go install OpenShift. What do I want to do post-boot? Small gears, medium gears, gear size, default gears, etc. And then depot, that's where am I going to get the software? Am I going to do it just from a local Yum repo, or am I going to go get it from Red Hat Satellite or from Subscription Manager on the internet? And then accounts. So the default OpenShift user, what do I want to call it? Give it a password. What's the mcollective user? What's the MongoDB user for OpenShift? And it goes out and deploys the whole thing. One click, done.
So where do you create those catalogs? Is it in the UI here, or is it?
It's in the UI.
Okay.
It's done in the UI and create inside of Automate. This customization. In here we create our service dialogues. You just pick and choose what you want. Like if it's a tab, go into the OpenShift. Basically, like you just build it. Like this is like this connection detail. That's a box with that SSH user ID. That's an element inside the box. So it's just click this. This goes here. This goes here. Kind of a WYSIWYG kind of editor. No, you don't code it. You just put it where it needs to go. The only thing in here that requires coding is if you do a dynamic dropdown. A dynamic dropdown calls an automation that goes and checks. So like you go back to like F5. Like if I want the virtual machine that I deploy to go into a specific F5 load balancing pool. I can call to the F5 API and select the load balancer from there. And that becomes an element inside of the state machine. So then later on it will go and deploy, when it goes and deploys the virtual machine, that element will be called later on when I have an IP address to go put into the F5 load balancer. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of requests,
Yeah. So how many state controllers do you have? It's a pain in the ass, small control. So you can theoretically just have like this instead.
I have it.
Yeah, that stuff. Can I curious to see how much? Yeah, yeah, cool. Well,
This one.
we do self-service portals.
But so in terms of the requests, like I can go, like I made several requests earlier, but basically like in here, like I can go in, copy the request. This is also the page that like an administrator or a manager would approve or deny if you have an approval workflow in place. This was just auto-approved because I don't hit the thresholds. I only have one virtual machine out of the box that requires an admin approval for 2. So, but that's of course customizable. I can go through, like if I wanted to copy this virtual machine, I want to make one just like it, except for maybe the name, or the tag. This is 5. If I wanted to change the network it's on, if I have a choice, I'll go change the part. It's 4 days. Or if, even better, the administrator gets it, and they get and they're for approval, they can go in and modify all that as well. So if the user said, I want a 16 gig virtual machine and 8 CPUs, you need that. You need 2 gigs of RAM and 1 CPU, then approve. So you can modify it. It's very flexible. A lot of my customers buy it just because of the flexibility. I have a customer that doesn't even use the UI. They just use our orchestration engine because of the normalization. They didn't have to write their own. Like I have a customer that did write their own orchestration engine, but they had to write like their infoblox stuff 4 times for their 4 different infrastructure providers. So this just allows them to write once, use everywhere. That's the thing I love about this product. And it's been a joy to work with. It's actually fun to write code against. And I'm not a coder. Like my background is in system administration. I love writing Ruby. So,
Nice.
any questions? Like I don't really have anything.
You mentioned quotas. Do you have an oversubscription definition set? Like you could say, hey, on my environments, I'm going to allow this many VMs with this many CPUs, even above and beyond my allotment.
Oh yeah, you can overcommit definitely. Like you can definitely overcommit over quota. Like I can say like you hit quota. It can be a soft quota. Like if it's an end user and you apply to 16 virtual CPUs, but you can make it a soft quota
And then still have hard.
and then still have hard. It's a little. It'd be a little code tweak, but it's not hard. So this is that actually. Let's see if I got my ideas. I was at a customer site once and they said, I think you sell more infoblox than I do because I tell customers, oh, infoblox this, infoblox that.
So are most of your customers using this? Like
They're
primarily
using like
for-
infoblox. I have a customer that's actually using a Open IPAM that was written by Utah State.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're using it, but
It's now defunct.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still, but then there's several out there. It's like a PHP IPAM.
Yeah.
That has a really good REST API. I would just use that, but I deal with enterprise customers.
Oh, yeah.
And they have to have a support contract with everyone. So that's why I write everything for infoblox or Blue Cat. I have customers that use SolarWinds that has a horrible API by the way.
So as far as like customers using CloudForms, are they primarily using it for self-service portal, or do you see them doing like
They're using
data
it-
center orchestration?
They're starting off with as a self-service portal,
Yep.
and then bringing in the orchestration. Like they want to be able to install when the end user comes in and says, oh, I want this random Windows VM. They want to be able to know for sure that it's been patched, it's been,
Okay.
yeah, because,
So most of this usually gets used internally as opposed to reseller?
I do have a customer in Ohio. They are a public cloud provider. That this, and CloudForms is their orchestration engine and their self-service, and their portal for their customers.
Possibly. They'd have to still use Vagrant. It would be virtual.
Yes, and I deployed 2 virtual machines, VR Johnso Test 024 and 25. It made the DNS entry, so these IPs, it just grabbed the next available IP. I could actually write the code to only go against this stack of IPs if I wanted to, but I'm just going to do all of it. And then if I go retire them, it'll go clean them up. I've actually used these like 15 times this week. So, just doing demos. Any other questions? It's going to take a while for them to finish deploying it. My storage is too slow. It takes like 15 minutes for
Like gives us another
I
abstraction
can help
layer.
you with
So, not a lot of stuff.
I'm using a 7-year-old NetApp.
I can help you.
Any other questions? Because I don't have anything else.
No?